Welcome to Reverse Reset Restore, the podcast that is for all of us who are tired of wallowing in the mire of our own circumstances. I'm Sally, a lifelong people pleaser and shame sufferer on a personal journey of self-recovery and healing. Change comes from within. If thoughts are the stories we tell ourselves, and our feelings are the language of the body, behaviours are the stage on which we perform. This is part 3 of our strategies for change. In the last 2 episodes, we've explored strategies for changing your thoughts and for exploring your feelings. In this episode, we're going to look at some practical strategies that you can apply in changing behaviour. I think of the way we act and behave towards ourselves and towards others as a kind of performance. In his opening line, the character Jaques from William Shakespeare's play As You Like It says, "All the world's a stage and we are merely players." What that basically means is that, like actors who perform a character on the stage, we too are acting various roles during our lifetime. This monologue is also known as the 7 Ages of Man. Now, if you're not familiar with Shakespeare or you get a bit put off because, the language is not easy for you to understand in this day and age, that's going to be okay. I will explain it in further detail in an upcoming episode. But I'm going to share the whole monologue now because I want it to kind of sit with us as a way of looking at the different stages of our lives. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. And then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good cap and linen, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. To put that into layman's terms, so we can kind of understand what that beautiful monologue was saying, Shakespeare views it, these 7 ages of life, the demands of infancy and our sole reliance on others, and our schoolboy childhoods where we begin to see ourselves separate from our parents and our siblings and our friends, and we kind of have this beginning of self-discovery, to the spring awakening of a youthful love, that lover, and then to the soldier, who I think of as people in their 20s and 30s, not yet fully discovered of who they are. They're still kind of finding their way, still in that place of becoming. And then we reach the pragmatic nature of the justice age, where we've lived a little more and are generally better equipped at resolving some of the situations we now face better than when we were in, say, our soldier age. And then that sixth age, where we begin to slow down, we're comfortable in who we are. A lot of the time we would consider these to be people who are kind of stuck in their ways. They're not going to change. They kind of made it to this point and that's where they're at. And they're comfortable with that. And then all of a sudden we're at the seventh age, which is, as Shakespeare so sadly puts it, oblivion. You know, it's a return to dust. It's our demise, our eventual death. Now, I'm not convinced entirely that these are the only ages, or that we even need to stay in them for a certain period of time, because I think that depending on who you are and what you're wanting to do, and if you're willing to make changes, you can move quite quickly through sort of that soldier age into that sort of justice age, if you want to do. And you don't certainly have to go into that sort of sixth age of being in your pantaloons and settling for what it is you've got now. That's not what I'm about anyway. I like to think that when I reach 80, that I will still be open to change, that I'll still be wanting to explore, that I'll still always have this desire within me for knowledge and growth and understanding if I get to be in my 80s or 90s or beyond. Anyway, that's Shakespeare, and it's beautiful. And I will, as I said, will explore that more in a separate episode, just to delve a bit more deeper into, breaking it down a little bit more. So obviously, while our bodies eventually decay and wither away, and, these 7 ages are roles in which we are all playing, I think the roles that we do play are always in flux. Obviously, at first, we are helpless babies who are relying on our parents or other adults and family to help us grow. They influence and shape how we see the world and who we are to some degree. As we progress from childhood to adolescence and then all the stages of our adulthood, we change roles. We reveal parts of our character in these various performances. And I think that's what Shakespeare was getting at. Our behaviours, together entwined with our belief systems and our thoughts and how we regulate our emotions, all make up these characters. Who we are, or at least how we are perceived to be, is often seen through how we perform on the stage we call life. So, what if we want to change the stage? Is it even possible? Yeah, of course it is. People, including you, do it all the time. Behaviours are habits, and habits can be dropped, adopted, or changed, or rearranged. It's on these principles that campaigns like Stop Smoking is based, or why New Year's resolutions are touted as an opportunity for a new year, new you. When you start a new job, you have to learn new software and systems and protocols. We're always changing and adapting to new habits and new behaviours. It's just often that we're blind to them. And again, we tend to focus on what we are not doing or believe we can't do, rather than the gains we make along the way. And that is why people think they can't change their habits or actions. Most of the time, it's simply you can change it, you just don't want to. I think change is possible. In fact, I know it is. But change comes at a cost. It's a choice. And it's having the tenacity to choose the change every day. And that's the trick, isn't it? Because we want things to happen yesterday, especially when they're painful things like carrying extra weight that just won't budge off your body, or being angry at someone and waiting for that apology you think you deserve from 10 years ago. I've been there. I'm still there in a lot of ways. Again, I'm going to use the lens of my emotional eating experience as examples in the strategies that follow. but you will find most, if not all, can be interchanged for the habits you wish to change in your life. So the 5 strategies for shifting your behaviors or for actioning a different result in your life are: minimize your exposure, create positive routines, focus on intention, distract and redirect, and get physical. Strategy number 1, minimizing exposure, is a practical tool. Now, I stopped having certain foods in my home. That way, when the desire to eat to stifle my feelings arose, I had no choice but to find another way to deal with them, because I couldn't run to the kitchen for comfort. I also removed food delivery services off my phone as another way to help me minimize the go-to of food as reward or punishment in my life. Now, I've successfully put these apps back on my phone because I've worked through that area and I no longer feel driven to Uber eat my feelings. I've also got to a place where foods that had to really be banished for my own good in my house can now be back in my house without me abusing them. But there are still days when that old emotional pull flares up, and realistically, especially when it comes to food, it can be hard to avoid altogether. Another area where I'm working on minimizing my exposure is in the comment sections of social media posts. I, like so many of us, have a number of social media platforms that I access on pretty much a daily, sometimes multi-daily basis. And sometimes you stop the scroll to watch or read something that catches your eye. The habit I've gotten myself into is going to the comment section. 9 times out of 8, it is a big mistake. Comment sections, in my opinion, are some of the most vile, vicious, and depressing corners of the internet. Everyone suddenly is an expert. They feel free to let all of their judgments and opinions hang out. And if they can cut people down or diminish someone or focus on the negative and even the most seemingly harmless of content, they will. I know this. You probably know this. We all know it, right? And yet, we're all suckers for punishment. I routinely go to the comments section. And I think we do this for probably 2 reasons. 1, confirmation of our own opinions or judgment on what we've watched or read. And 2, because we know that there's likely going to be drama unfolding in the comment sections from said judgments and opinions. And they usually do not disappoint. Now, if this is your jam, great. But for me, I notice that as soon as I start to see the negative comments or keyboard warriors gearing up for a battle, it just kind of sucks all the joy and the pleasure out of what I might have thought was cute or funny or insightful. So instead of having this nice little moment of joy, it gets stamped out by people who think that they know better. And that kind of leaves me, at least personally, feeling angry, irate, down, a bit sad. So comment sections are kind of my kryptonite. And just like Superman, I do my best now to avoid them. I want you to think about an area of your life where you can minimize exposure of routines or habits that are more harmful than helpful. Perhaps you need to cut back on the types of social media content you interact with. So you might choose to remove them off your devices or only log in occasionally. Or like me, don't open the comments. Maybe you need to get rid of your bathroom scales because you've become obsessive about weighing yourself multiple times a day or week. Maybe there are even people in your life who contribute to making you just feel bad, making you feel frustrated and judged or unloved. How could you realistically minimize your exposure to them? What choices can you make to take different actions? Maybe you don't engage with their comments or you limit your time around them. Remember, if you want change, you must first choose it and then choose working towards making it happen. You set the boundaries in your life, and minimizing exposure to the things that actually hurt you is a step towards where you want to be. Our second strategy is about creating positive routines. Now, I am a night owl and I have always struggled to be a morning person, which is kind of what the world has geared us up to be, right? And not only that, I find the idea of the same old, rather mundane. I'll take various routes to work just to mix it up. So routines are not something I feel naturally inclined to do. However, we do live in a world full of routines. We get up, we get ready for work, we brush our teeth, our hair, we drink our morning wake-up juice. We go to work, we have our meetings, we answer the calls, the emails, etc., etc. Routines can be very helpful in allowing you to be productive and keep us on track mentally and physically. So we've already got these routines in our lives, and it may seem like a full plate to try to add another one. But our second strategy is about creating positive routines that can overwrite some of the ones we may have in place that don't really work in our favour. For example, are we spending 2 hours every night watching TV when we could be working on our dream of being a published writer? I may be guilty of that one. Or are we wasting time playing games when we could be spending quality time with a friend on a regular basis? In no particular order, here are some of the daily routines or most day routines I have built into my life that have made a personal difference for me, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. I journal the things I'm thankful for. I go for daily swims. I meditate morning and night. I go for a walk in the park and I spend a few minutes grounding myself, which means I literally take my feet out of my shoes and I plant them on the grass. I take the stairs out of my building so that I'm getting a little bit more exercise rather than just using the elevator. I ice plunge, which is something I will talk to you about in a future podcast because it is an amazing experience. I read affirmations out loud. I read or listen to personal development books or videos for at least 15 to 20 minutes a day if I can. I body groove, an excellent dancing program which you can subscribe to or even just check out on YouTube if you want to love your body through moving it. Now, you don't have to do any of these things or even some of these things every day. The point is to find a couple of things you know will bring you joy and peace and change, and then add them to your life. Yes, this might mean you have less time for something else. Maybe you have to stop playing a game on your phone to do 20 minutes of meditation instead. It'll be worth it. Maybe you'll find ways to combine something positive into your other daily routines. Dance while you're doing the dishes, say affirmations while in the shower. Go outside and take a short walk on your lunch break, where you can also listen to an uplifting message or a certain podcast. By creating positive routines into your day, you affect change in the way you move through your world. You'll also improve your resilience and your ability to cope with the things that happen around you because you have positive actions that help strengthen you. My third strategy, focus on intention, is about being intentional in how you want to experience the current moment and those to come. It shifts the focus on the thoughts or feelings you might be having that could easily escalate you into a place of feeling overwhelmed, helpless, or hopeless. It removes the pressure, frees you from your own internal judgments, and puts you back into a position of power in your life. Intentions are about working your way towards self-improvement. In my examples of using food for comfort or punishment, I have used the strategy to replace the eating with emotion to eating with intention. Instead of mindlessly diving into a bag of chips or a bowl of ice cream, I ask myself if eating something like that is showing myself love and kindness. Now, I'm not saying that chips or ice cream or any food is inherently bad, but how am I going to feel about myself after I eat those things? If it makes me feel good and okay, that is one thing. But for the longest time, those types of food choices only serve to add further dysfunctional thinking about my body and my life. So to avoid perpetuating the cycle of punishing myself further with food, I developed the habit of asking myself if I was really hungry or if I was eating out of boredom, habit, pleasing others, or something else. This strategy asks you to consciously choose to only eat when you are truly hungry and stop when you are full. Now, many people eat out of boredom, not from true hunger, or they eat out of obligation. Dinner's served, it's only one slice of cake, etc. We've been conditioned to believe we must eat at least 3 meals a day. That's absolutely not true. If you employ the eat when you are hungry, stop when you are full mindset, you'll notice that the need to eat all day will disappear. Because if you are eating out of emotion or boredom or obligation, it's not about being hungry. It's really about satisfying something far deeper than a natural hunger. You'll also free yourself up from eating according to other people's demands and expectations. And if people want to judge you for not eating or eating a certain way, well, that says a lot more about them than it does about you. You don't need to be constrained by anyone's judgments, others or your own. This can take some practice, but it does help you to begin to transition from the places in your life where you have allowed food to preside over you to a place where you can take control of your eating habits. This is where you begin to eat with intention to fuel your body in a mindful way rather than acting like your life is a free-for-all smorgasbord. Focus your intention is an important strategy as it leads into the crux of what might be the driving forces that lead you to do some of the things you do that you know deep down are not for your good. It also allows you to implement new practices in your life, replacing the habits that are self-suffering rather than self-serving. When you consciously choose where to place your attention, you change your life. The strategy I use to help me through those complex feelings and digging down deep to discover what might be lying at the root cause is to distract and redirect. If you've ever been around babies and toddlers, you'll know just how useful it is to employ a distract and redirect strategy there. Again, this is done with kindness and love for ourselves. I'm not beating myself up like I used to for my emotional eating crutches or my feelings that might have jump-started a binge. I'm looking at how I can now best show love to my body and my mind in place of those previous habits. Distraction in this context is about removing the focus off of what you are currently thinking or feeling and the behaviors that are part of those thoughts and emotions in order to find clarity and freedom. It's breaking the chains of a habit by diverting its attention to something else. In this case, we want to use this strategy to change something in our lives that is hurting us or no longer serving us. It's the negative reoccurring thoughts or feelings that we need to distract ourselves from. If you have a tendency to entertain one thought that then spirals out to other thoughts, birthing endless opportunities for pain, just know that you have the power to stop it. One of the techniques I was taught in therapy was to run my hands underwater if my thoughts were overloaded or leading towards a full-blown panic attack. The concept behind this is that you're distracting the thoughts by focusing on the water running over your skin, the sound it makes from the faucet into the sink and down the drain, the temperature of the water, the clearness of it. Focusing all your senses on this type of action acts as a circuit breaker for your thinking. It creates a disturbance to break the cycle just enough for you to then implement a redirection strategy. That means I choose to create new habits through redirection or a new action. So in the example of the overwhelming urge to eat my feelings, how I would redirect myself might be to choose a healthier option to eat, or it could be to go for a walk or call a friend. If there is a certain danger zone time for you, like snacking in front of the TV at night, maybe you could do some light exercise instead. I often walk back and forth in my house while watching TV or get up and dance during ad breaks as a way to move my body and distract and redirect the loitering thoughts that don't serve me well. My last strategy in helping to change behavior is to get physical. I'm not talking about trying to go from 0 to 100 in 60 seconds. And I'm not just talking about exercise here. I'm talking about becoming much more attuned to your body, your movements, and the physical interactions with the world, which, beyond exercise, include creativity like arts and crafts and writing, even doing the laundry. Anything that engages your physical being is an opportunity for you to connect yourself to it. Getting physical allows you to see the beauty and the strength of the body you live in. It creates this idea of feeling blessed and grateful for what it does for you every day, without us even being aware of all that it just naturally does. And when we're able to practice connecting to the physical aspect of us in even the most mundane of ways, it creates a desire in you to want to move it more and to experience it in other ways. The added bonus of implementing more physical activity in your day, moving your body helps you become much more present in the here and now. And it's a great way to show honor and love towards your physical being. Getting physical is also a therapeutic way to release energy that needs to be moved out of you. We don't all have to be super angry or upset to dispel pent-up energy via physical exertion. Although there may be times when that type of energy will propel your exercise activity. It's about understanding that getting physical is a helpful way of reducing stress and using up the energy that might otherwise be stored as disease or inflammation or internalized negative thinking. So what is something that you can do to get physical to help your body today? You don't have to try to run a marathon or become a bodybuilder. Maybe you can just quietly decide to do some stretches when you first wake up, or build in a rock star type workout routine when cleaning your house. I was inspired by the amazing energy of the late, great Chester Bennington from Linkin Park to implement such a routine after watching him perform on stage. No microphone? No worries. That's what mops and brooms were invented for. Perhaps getting physical for you is going to be going out for a walk, camera in hand, and taking pictures of nature. Or it's deciding to try that yoga class down at your local community hall. Whatever you choose, make it something you can build into your day or week that you hold sacred. Determine that you're going to take time to take care of your body and mind in a way that will make you feel good. Over the past 3 episodes, we've looked at some strategies based on the Cognitive Behavioural Therapy model of the CBT Triangle. We've taken a look at how you can change your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviours, looking at 15 techniques that you can incorporate into your life. What I love about these strategies is that many of them are also interchangeable. You can use them for changing thoughts, challenging behaviours, or exploring feelings. For example, you can take the strategy of journaling that we talked about in the first episode for changing thoughts and apply that same strategy to exploring your feelings. Journaling can also be an effective technique for changing behaviour. If you are cognizant enough to catch yourself in the active behaviour you want to change, it's a good exercise in self-reflection to write about it. Likewise, You can use Get Curious and Ask Questions strategy that we used for exploring feelings when you are aware of a certain behavior or thought that has entered the chat. Implementing these strategies in your life will allow you to begin to have a deeper understanding of your feelings, your thoughts, and your belief systems. That understanding will then give you opportunity to challenge them and make different choices to change your whole life. If you've tried out any of these strategies for yourself, I would love to hear about your experience. If you haven't quite got there yet, which ones might you adopt and put into practice? Have you got a favourite that you've heard over the last 3 episodes? Have you got different strategies that you use and would like to share? I'd love to highlight them in an upcoming episode. Come join the conversation on the Reverse Reset Restore Facebook page. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to keep exploring ways to create a whole new you. I sign off with this observation from the author James Allen, who noted that most of us are anxious to improve our circumstances, but are unwilling to improve ourselves. We improve our circumstances when we improve ourselves. You absolutely have it within you to change the stories you tell yourself, understand the language of your body and your feelings, and set the stage for how you respond to the world around you. It's up to you. Thanks for joining me.